I didn't do the podcast yet, but I want you to know, because this new moon does feel special, as they mostly all do, but this one's extra special. Like, this one, I think, is, can you just try to tell yourself a different story? Can you just try already? And when I say just try, I mean just do it. There's these little stories that we tell ourselves about not being good enough, not being worthy. And what if you just disrupted that? It seems like the biggest form of protest to disrupt those. Okay, but it's not easy to disrupt those narratives. And this is one of the things that I always wish for when I'm being given instruction for, I don't know, positive change or affirmations or something like that, is that it is a battlefield inside there. And so there's me saying, I do not have the body of my 20-year-old self that was a dancer. So I couldn't possibly be a dancer because I'm in this menopausal meat sack. And that thought occurs to me more often than I would like to admit, especially as I have things coming up around dancing, events coming up around dancing. And even as simple as ballet starts again in September, and it's like, oh, okie dokie, I get to see that leotard again. And I have the ability to interrupt that. I cannot change the fact that those thoughts are going to come up. But when I say my body doesn't work to be a dancer, then I have the opportunity to have a conversation with myself and say, well, excuse me, my body does work to be a dancer. And I don't know who you've been talking to, but I've been dancing my entire life, and I intend to continue dancing no matter what shape, form my body takes, no matter whether I am mobile or immobile. I will continue to dance. Thank you very much for your input. Goodbye. Okay, that's one way. Another way is, I hear you. I also believe this. I'm worthy. I was born worthy. The fact that I'm here is enough. The fact that I'm here is enough for me to try, to be brave, to be creative, to enjoy my life. Thank you very much. Goodbye. What is going on anyway? Hi, I'm your host, Anne Headley, and this is my podcast, What is Going On Anyway? I'm happy to let you know that we've made it through more than halfway through the third season. And if you've not been around for a while, I encourage you to use the old episodes oracularly. Like, you don't know, you've got a question, you're thinking about something, just slide through the old episodes, scroll through them, and land on one, or find one that sparks something. And maybe don't even listen to the whole thing. Just push play, fast forward, listen for 30 seconds, and use it as an oracle. And I'm not saying that like I am oracular and I've designed something in some way to make it oracular. It's a good word, isn't it? Oracular. Is it a word? All of a sudden, I think I need to look it up. Okay, it's an adjective relating to an oracle. Just fine to use that word. But you can use anything like an oracle. It really has to do with your intention and how you're holding it. I learned that a long time ago when I was first, I don't want to say studying, but learning about the I Ching. And I started to have this feeling like I could find hexagrams like in tree branches, that I could look to the trees and find hexagrams. But I wasn't familiar enough with the 64 hexagrams to really know what I was doing. But I had a hunch that could work for me. And that was the beginning of me looking at everything in that way, trying to find divinity or have, not divinity in everything exactly, but a bridge to the invisible world through everything in my life. And that it's sort of like the way you might use a microscope to look more closely and carefully at something that you can't perceive with your eyes, your naked eyes. I love that. You can't perceive with your naked eyes, Naked eyes. Boy, I'm just enjoying words this morning. That you can use the ability to see through what's right in front of you to perceive and understand the invisible world. That's not totally what this new moon is about, but it's close. It's getting closer. This podcast, What is Going On Anyway, is a bi-weekly moment for me to come in, check in with my imagination and my intuition, and report back. This is what I'm thinking and feeling. This is what's coming up for me. If you were to call me, these are the sorts of things that I would say. This is what I'm wondering about right now. So I use my particular style of intuition and try to tell a story about this moment now, whether it's a new moon or a full moon. And this time it is a new moon. We're looking at a new moon in Virgo, which has that excitement of ordered reliability, that we can count on something when we begin fresh, when we turn the page. It is a potent time for new beginnings. And I ask you in this time, when you go out at night and you can see that it's dark or you have just a crescent moon. As I'm recording this now, we have passed the new moon. So we're a day beyond, but the skies are going to be quite dark for a few days yet. And in this dark time is the moment for you and me to tell a new story. And maybe this is not such a new story, but it's telling the story that you've practiced before. And you've practiced and you've practiced. And now it's time to really tell it with the authority of all of your magical beingness. And to say, I wonder if I tell the story and I interrupt the anti-story. If I tell the story of my worthiness, and at the same time, I say, excuse me, unworthiness. Excuse me, inner voice that will come to counter or to contradict this new story that I'm telling. Or really maybe this old story, or the story that I've tried to tell, but I got interrupted over and over again so many times that I thought maybe I'm not going to tell the story anymore. It's time to do it again and to tell the story and say thank you for listening and carry on telling the story of your worthiness, of your full occupation of yourself in this time now, taking up space. It's a real call to action of being the storyteller of your own life and telling the story that you most want to hear, telling yourself the fairy tale that you maybe stopped believing in one more time and see if you can pull it into being that fairy tale of your life. There are ways of telling stories around everyday life that can elevate us and change the way we perceive the world. And this is really important right now because it's really, really easy to slide into somebody else's story. I mean, we have stories on our social media. It's called stories, right? On Instagram. This is the story of my day. And it's really easy to get caught up in someone else's story. And again, I'm not saying there's anything, I always want to say that I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's, you've just spent that amount of inner currency on someone else's story. And it's really hard to stick with our own stories. I often will give this advice to folks who are conflicted around social media. Make content and put it out there. Get more involved in your own story and less involved in consuming other stories. I don't know if that's a good answer in terms of social media. I don't have a sense of authority around that. But maybe you could apply it in any way that you're considering being involved in your own story and the story of your life, whether you are sharing that on a platform where other people can join you. There's so many now. Or if you're just sharing that in your regular life and letting people in on the stories and the dreams and the creativity that's surrounding you. I spent the weekend at the Global Matriarchs Gathering. This is a gathering that I've joined in for the last 3 years. And this is an offering by the Land Peace Foundation. And I'd like to read to you their mission statement. The Land Peace Foundation is committed to preserving the Indigenous way of life, deepening connections to place, and strengthening Wabanaki kinship and ally networks. We do this through strong Indigenous leadership programs, multifaceted land-based learning opportunities, comprehensive environmental justice programs, and the convening of community healing gatherings. And I would say that the Matriarchs Gathering is a community healing gathering. Lots of incredible healing work for women. And part of the things that we worked on were storytelling and core belief work. What is it that is... What are the belief statements that are not working for you? And how can we retell the story of our core beliefs? One of the things that I don't want to share too much about because it's still very fresh in me. I don't just want to report exactly what happened, but Sherry talked several times, Sherry Mitchell, who is the founder of the Land Peace Foundation, among other things, known author, speaker. So she was talking to us, and one of the things that I wrote down is this quote from her. Are you ready to let go of the stories that keep you from being who you really are? The stories that keep you small. And that just seems like so potent, exactly what the feeling is for me this new moon. And what it means to let go of the stories that are keeping you from being who you really are. The stories like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. That these stories are so repetitive inside of us. And it's not even just a matter of, are you ready to let go of? It's the action of letting go. And I think there's one more piece to this new way of storytelling, that we could create our own fairy tale. And that has to do with a practice of preparing for receiving the fairy tale, the story, the most exalted story of your life. To prepare to receive that, you actually sometimes have to take some action. So think about that story. And it's pretty private, right? Because our dreams are tender and they need tender care. But you could begin telling this story to yourself in the privacy of your own space, your own journal, your own mind, and then take the steps necessary to allow that dream to come out into reality, which may mean, for some of us, it may mean traveling. It may mean calling someone we haven't talked to in a long time. It may mean shifting some things in our lives to prepare for that story to have some ground in the real world, some ground in this world. I don't know what is the real world. Another speaker over this weekend is Sharon Blackie, also a writer. She is a mythologist specializing in the mythic imagination. That's what her bio says. She gave a beautiful talk about the indigenous roots for a lot of Europeans and the roots in fairy tale and folklore. Not mythology, which can be top down, but folklore, which is from the people, and the stories are changeable. And she talked about how the folklore fairy tales are a collective memory, a piece of knowledge that puzzles together, that is changeable, and that this matrilineal creation is the centering of heart-based, intuitive knowing. And that it is the job of women, maybe of people, to tell and share and create the stories of our times that lead us into future times, the stories that make us good ancestors. So one of the treasures that we got in our treasure bags as we arrived is the Rooted Woman card deck oracle by Sharon Blackie, and I thought I would pull a card for us. So let's see what we get for this new moon from the Rooted Woman oracle deck. And the card that I got is Cliff, standing on the edge. There is a woman in a red dress with her arms crossed in front of her body. There seems to be a storm around her with a clearing at the edge of the horizon. I don't know if it's a sunrise. It's yellow. It looks like a clearing. And she's on the edge of a cliff, standing above sort of turbulent water below. So what it says, cliff, standing on the edge. For most of us, there are many times during our lives when we feel that we're on a cliff edge. When we're caught in the midst of a crisis or standing on the brink of a major change. Will we try to hold tight to keep all the pieces of our disintegrating life together? Or will we close our eyes, trust in the story that's unfolding, and let ourselves fall? We can see the cliff edge as a place of terror or a place of opportunity. This card invites us to consider the ways in which we might transform our fear into a sense of evolving possibility. Sometimes we're drawn to do certain things, to take certain steps, in spite of our fear of the consequences. But sometimes the situation we're facing requires even more of us. We're asked to actively embrace our fear and to take certain steps precisely because we're afraid. The cliff card then urges us to confront any fearful situation that we might be facing with our eyes wide open. What would happen if we recognized our fear and explored all the ways in which that fear was holding us back from the possibility of a more fulfilling life? What would happen if we took the step over the cliff edge because it scares us? Facing our fear is an opportunity for growth, and if we can face it with a sense of purpose, we'll feel that we're more in control of our own falling. And as a consequence, we'll become stronger and more ready to face the inevitable challenges we'll meet along the path. I like this for now for two reasons. One, there is a certain fear that holds us in the old stories of unworthiness. We think somewhere in there that we are safer if we keep telling ourselves the old stories. At least nothing would change. At least we could maintain where we're at. We may not fulfill our dreams and we may not see our desires come to fruition, but we at least will be safe. And I think there's something that comes through all traditions of working with divination or oracular work. And that is, change is a given. And it is about how we experience the change, the stories that we tell ourselves as we go through change. That is the heroine's journey. So I think that right now, also because of this particular new moon in Virgo, it's asking us to kind of get ourselves together, that there is a cliff. We are going to jump off the cliff, and you can throw some things over the cliff to be waiting for you down there. You can pack your backpack for this journey, that it's okay to put yourself in a good place for change right now, whatever that means for you. For me, it just has some bits of, there's some housekeeping that I need to do. There's some catching up that I need to do to move into the next phases of the kind of creativity that I want to get involved in. I kind of need to put some things away, finish some things and close some books so that I can be ready. It's sort of like clearing my desk off for the next project. That's what it feels like, kind of symbolically right now. And that is just some beautiful wisdom and advice for us right now. I don't want to let go of my devotion to the I Ching. And the hexagram that we get this time is nearing, hexagram 19. How does this, without saying what this is, how does this want to grow? How can you take responsibility for its development? And what would your greater self do? Nearing means drawing closer and gazing down over what you approach. So this works nicely with the cliff, doesn't it? Let's just smush those two things together. There are two strands of meaning here. The approach of a greater spirit or presence in an ongoing process of growth, and your approach as the one who pays attention and takes responsibility. I think taking responsibility here in this moment is telling yourself the story of your own fairy tale, however that comes to you. So like, say something terrible is happening for you that you really don't want to tell a good story about. I dare you to try to tell a good story about it. Like maybe I'd be having a migraine, which I did actually the first day of this gathering. I had a migraine. I was managing it, but I was really deep in my toes, hanging on there. And the exalted story of having a migraine is it allowed me to see things from a perspective that was deep down inside of myself. And I loved that perspective. And I'd love to be able to do that without a migraine. So I think, I'm having the experiences that I could go back there and not be in pain. And that's a more exalted story. That's just like a quick example, right? Like the creative drive of hexagram 1, this great growing energy comes from the source, asks for your full participation, and seeks to reach fruition and be realized. And I am remembering that we have gotten this hexagram before, and I don't know when. It moves, in this case, we have changing line 1 and changing line 3. It moves to hexagram 46, pushing upward. Is this something that you can commit yourself to? Like, can you commit yourself to your wild dreaming? Where might it take you? What is the next step? This hexagram suggests a step-by-step ascent, one measure at a time. This is a vigorous, active time. Come from the source of inspiration and involve it in your work. Make good use of seeing great people, whether in the flesh or with your inner vision. And please don't underestimate your inner vision and the power of your inner vision to charge you with the energy to begin your ascent. Use these to inspire you with a vision of possibilities and for information and help on how to move on upward. Oh, I know we've gotten that one before because it makes, every time I hear that, it makes me sing, well, we're moving on up. Okay. Hard work and steep slopes lie ahead, but the oracle reassures you that you need not worry or doubt. Instead, set your face to the south as the ruler does. Align your initiatives with the natural order, which can be read in the stars and the compass, and set out towards warmth, light, and activity. I think that sounds just lovely. So, recap. Look at the stories that you're telling yourself about your unworthiness. Write them down, perhaps, because sometimes we can lose these things. Not the old stories. We've got that pretty well patterned in us, but maybe the opposite. If you can't figure it out, the story of I'm not worthy, I don't deserve to be here is I'm absolutely worthy and I deserve life like everyone else. And just do oppositions to get yourself where you need to be with these new stories. I've known for a long time that the inner dialogue is one of the most important, powerful tools that we can utilize. But right now, it seems like if you feel despair about the world and you haven't changed your inner dialogue, now is the time to use it as a force of activism in the world, as a way of claiming your space and showing up in the world. And we talked about this weekend. Everyone has a gift, and everyone is meant to share their gift with the world. So figure it out. Pull on your worthiness panties and begin to prepare to share your gift with the world. Full moon coming up next. We've got a busy fall of feelings and intuitive hits coming. Thank you so much for being here. You can find me at the moment on my website, www.annhedly.com. May you be well. May you know peace. And may all beings everywhere, whether known to me or unknown, may they be well and may they know